I keep getting this question. I don't really know why, but I'm going to address a question that I seem to, for some reason, keep getting. And that is, do I use MLSN? And I got the same question yesterday on Calendly, and probably 4 or 5 of you have asked that question over the last several months, or what I think about it and do I use it? The answer is I don't use it. I don't use the MLSN. For those of you who might not know, MLSN is the minimum level of sufficient nutrition or something like that, created by Wendy Lertner and Larry Stoll and Michael Woods years ago. And it has a minimum level of nutrients for the malic 3 extract for potassium, calcium, sulfur, magnesium. I think that's about it. Something else in there. I think calcium somewhere in there. And it provides, the concept is, if you're at or above that number, then you're probably fine in terms of your nutrient requirements to turfgrass. The short and skinny of it is, if you have no idea what you're doing and you don't know anything about soil testing, but yet you're soil testing and applying nutrients, you're probably better off using the MLSN guidelines, because you're probably grossly over applying all these nutrients. And the MLS guideline is a good poster board or a good advertising board on the highway of numbers that you can easily remember, right? It's not particularly complicated. It's easy to remember. So whatever the numbers are, 21 parts per million phosphorus and 37 parts per million potassium and so forth. They're easy to remember. It's a poster board, easy to keep in mind. And if you follow those, if you're using normal interpretations on soil tests, particularly from commercial labs, you're probably grossly over applying nutrients. And if you follow MLSN, you're more than likely going to result in less money spent, same acceptable quality turf, and in some cases, probably better quality turf if you're over applying potassium and you're having problems. So in general, for the average person, you're probably better using it than the existing interpretation, assuming the existing interpretation wasn't conducted on turfgrass. But I don't use it for several reasons. And the main reason is I'm not in favor of soil testing just for the sake of soil testing. I only soil test when there's an issue I'm trying to diagnose, or if you've had a pre-existing condition and you're just trying to keep track of the number over time or something to see if you can stay above some level that you've known to be associated with a problem. So I don't use it for that reason, because I don't do a lot of soil testing. But even if I did do soil testing, I still wouldn't use it, because I'm familiar with the literature, and the literature, although it's challenging to, be well versed on it, you have to spend quite a bit of time reading it, and you have to be experienced on how to find these data. The literature will be far more efficient than MLSN. In other words, there's clear examples in literature where if you followed MLSN, you would be over applying nutrients. And today's paper is a very clear example of that. Whereas the numbers in this particular paper are going to be below MLSN values, which would indicate you would probably need to apply these nutrients, potassium in particular in this paper. But the paper is going to find that there was no response to potassium. You didn't need to apply potassium, even at numbers well below MLSN. So that's another reason why I don't follow it. But, this is sort of my area of speciality. This is what I do for a living, and I'm fairly knowledgeable on the literature. So I'm comfortable with certain numbers, with certain soil types and certain grasses. I kind of have a general idea of what they are. But if you don't have any of that knowledge, then I would recommend following MLSN, because it's easy to remember and it's probably going to be more efficient for you than following something from a commercial lab.